God no, I'm on the go, I'm on the go. But bad man I try to stop me though. I'm on the go, I'm on the go. Yeah, now me all coming up off the show. Yeah. I'm so special, I'm so special, so special, so special.
Vincent was an avid fan of, well, I'm sorry, I didn't even say where. Kingston is in Jamaica, for those that can't tell or don't know. Yes, this is the capital. Thank you very much, her. Patricia, as manager of the store in Kingston, became one of the first women in the Jamaican music industry with economic and decision-making power. In Ms. Chin, as the originator, the reason why we're all here, we'd love to hear from you.
I'm so blessed to be the company of these gentlemen who started the rapping and the sound system, because without the sound system, we wouldn't be advertising the music, because back then, ska and reggae wasn't played on the radio. So they had to have other forms of publicizing the radio, the music, and I think that's how the sound system came about. Back then, 50 years ago, they all had like names like Prince Buster, they had Dupree, they all had very prestigious names, and they all called themselves Prince and Duke, and then they had fans following them, and it was the birth of ska reggae. And the sound system came about 50 years ago, I should say, long before that, because the producers could not get the radio to play the music, because it was like on the radio, that was a poor people music. So they had to have other forms of advertising their music. So the sound system came about where they could play to the public, and people would go and enjoy themselves. As my friend Kirk said, it was like playing into the yard with zinc fans, with these big speaker boxes. And that's long before we had two turntables, because I guess they couldn't afford two turntables at that time. So there was just one turntable. That's where it all came about, because there was a vocal and there was a space, and this is where the DJs become creative by rapping in that empty space. And it also developed after that. We had the vocal on one side of the record and the instrumental on one side of the record, where they could really rap long time, for long moments, where they could have competition, who could rap better. So that's where it all came about.
So why did that local industry really take off?
Well, I should say, reflecting back, it was the need of recreation, because people didn't have anywhere to go, but they go to the dances. And being poor, that's the way they were able to enjoy themselves. There was a way that they could get over their frustration. They would go to the dance, and they would dance 3-4 hours, and they felt good. That's why most of the songs were developed from Bob Marley time about the struggle, and it also about the government, and they're just getting all their frustration. And it becomes an entertainment, because people would go there, dance for 3 hours, feel good, and then after that time, maybe their troubles come back, but at that time they felt so good to be, dancing and forget all the worries.
Can you talk about Randy's going from a record store into record production?
It was my husband, God bless his soul, he's not here with me today, but he saw the need, because we were right in Kingston, North Parade, where everybody would hang out, musicians, producers, singers, and everybody would hang out, and there was a need for a studio, because they could not afford to hire the expensive studio. And my shop was a shop where all the sound system men would come and buy all the latest. That was R&B, and as Kirk said, we didn't have reggae music at that time. It was just R&B, and then it developed into ska and so on. But ska studio developed because of a need, where my husband saw there was a need for the producers to have somewhere they could record their songs. And they had where situated in Kingston. It's, we call it Idler's Rest, because you would have musicians there, you would have artists, you would have a guitar player, a trumpet player. That's where you got Don Drummonds and all those famous musicians back then. And it was like, yeah, it was really a spot where everybody would hang out. You would have people selling Jamaican roast fish, and all the market people would come up, and musicians and things. It was a nice area where everybody got together and was able to do their recording. And it was right where they could come downstairs, run to do a dub plate, and come back and play it in the record store so that people could hear and give their comment. So I grew up in all the ages where it was ska first, then it was rocksteady, then it turned into roots, and it turned into reggae, then it turned into where we are now, hip-hop and dancehall. So I came from long before it was mento and soca, that was mento and calypso, and ska and reggae, right around.
And when did you really see an interest coming from outside Jamaica in your local music industry?
Well, when I came here 30 years ago, 79, I didn't know, they all knew Bob Marley, Peter Tosh and the Wailers, but nobody knew other music, although we had so much recording studio, so much artists, but nobody knew about them. And I was one of the ladies that usually sent the records from Jamaica up to my brother-in-law in Brooklyn. So my brother-in-law, Chin Randis, we used to export the records back to America. And then we had to introduce the music to everybody, you know. There was about a couple stores, not much, but little by little we introduced all the other artists like the Burning Spear, Dennis Brown, and Bill Thompson. Then they started to realize that this was a haven, Jamaica was a haven for all these artists. That's why in the early 60s we had so many Americans come to Jamaica, because it was something about the beat that they like. You know, we had Fats Domino, we had quite a few American artists came down, and Harry Belafonte, Johnny Nash. They're trying to know how this sound. We were gifted with a sound of heavy beat, the bass, the drum and bass that they liked. So they all came to see what it was all about.
What were some of the factors that caused you to eventually relocate the operation to headquarters to New York and close it in Jamaica?
We had a big struggle with the government, and we felt that it was time for us with children to have a better life, and so we came to the Big Apple and brought with us our culture and our music. When we left Jamaica, we could only take $50 with us, so what we did is brought the music with us. We couldn't carry the cash, so we had to bring what we were doing there. And little by little, we took the whole studio, everything came to America, and all the music. So it was a hard struggle in that time, because my country was going through a lot of turmoil with the politics and with Cuba and so on and so on.
May I say thank you, because your determination, you and your husband, encouraging to become what you are, and giving us as selectors, DJs, the ammunition, we was good in the field. So thank you.